I have a daughter who was born blind and brain damaged. For reasons we do not understand, she hemorrhaged. Barb was born in 1962, and at that time there was very little available for people who were multi-handicapped. One of the earlier things that I did was go to the School for the Blind. She was a year old. They don't take children that handicapped. They were very nice and explained these things to me. They sent me home with a book called No Place to Go, and it was a story of a child who was born blind and brain damaged, and the fact that he had no services. I did go to Crossroads, which is a rehabilitation center here in Indianapolis. And one of the early things we started doing was crawling patterning. We had her on the bed on her stomach, and one person on one side and one on the other, and you coordinate moving the arms and legs like you would if the child was crawling. And it's been 55 years, 50-some years since I did it, but we did it for a long time. And the occupational therapists at Crossroads helped us with that. Barbie finally started crawling on her own when she was around 3. She did not take her first independent steps till she was 5. She loves to take walks now, and we've done a lot of walking over the years. And when she was coming up to kindergarten age, when she was 5, I thought, well, it's time for her to be in a program. And I went to Noble, and they'd never had a blind child. And then I did say to them, well, if you have a normal child who's not functioning up to date, you hire a tutor. So one of their staff persons started working with Barb. She lived not too far from us at the time she started, but then she moved to the south side of the city. So I drove to Southport twice a week for her to work with this teacher, this staff person. But I still wanted her in a program, and finally the therapist at Crossroads said, well, have you tried St. Mary's Child Center? And I thought, I've read about it in the paper, but it doesn't sound like it's something that would fit Barb. But I called him up, and we went down to the Child Center and talked to the director. It was a very new program at the time, with one professional staff person. The rest were all volunteers. But the director said, I have some other parents that have problems finding services. So there were a group of us, mothers with child, who met together twice a week for 2 years. And we really became a support group. I think overall I was pretty supportive. My parents said, you make your decisions and we'll support you. Bob's parents were a little like, I don't think you should have her at home. But of course that was the attitude at the time and before that. And they had more of a problem adjusting to it than my parents did. but you know, it's. I'm thinking that overall, I really had pretty good support. My neighbors have been supportive. I said I couldn't move. I have to educate another whole neighborhood.